morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, the good and wonderful people of this tube. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Q&A Wednesday, everybody. Question one today is, let's dive in. Okay, question one today is, have you ever thought about different wiring in any of your strats? Yes. The thing with a Stratocaster that I always want, and I've literally in the last couple of days learnt how to do, is a master volume and a master tone. I don't like the two tones. That's one of the things that kind of like, I don't use the tones a great deal, to be honest with you. They're always pretty much normally on 10. If I'm going to mess around with any kind of dial on the guitar, it's normally the volume. But I do like the idea of like simplifying the guitar, like, you know, the Strat just to have a master volume and a master tone, like Rory Gallagher did. Rory's number one Strat, the middle tone didn't do anything. In fact, I think it was, it's actually missing at some points. It's not even there at some points. You can see it's just like a hole. Or it could be a pot there with no cover, I don't know. But Rory would always have his guitar wired with a master volume and a master tone. The middle tone never did anything. And I seem to think I read somewhere that these days, just before Rory died, he glued the middle pot up so it doesn't move at all, so you can't do anything with it whatsoever. And I say he's just got the master volume and master tone. So recently I've found how to do that, and I did it. The first guitar I wired up like that is the Tokai Strat that you saw last week. That was the first guitar I did where it's wired with a master volume and master tone, and since then I'm like thinking, this might have to happen to all my guitars. I think I'll leave some of them kind of like stock and as they are, like my white Strat, for instance. I won't touch my white Strat, but I am going to alter some of my other guitars just so it's a master volume and a master tone, just because, in all fairness, I might do my white Strat because I play that guitar a lot and I like the idea. And also the master tone goes over all pickups, so you have the ability to darken down the bridge pickup if you want. And it's a very easy wiring mod to do as well. It's not difficult solder job really, and even for a cack-handed solderer like me, it's fairly easy to do and get right. So and I've done two guitars now with that wiring system, and I really like it. It really appeals to me. Being a simple-minded individual such as I am, I like the idea of not having to worry about different tones. I like the idea of just having a volume there and a tone there, and the tone goes over everything. No ifs, no buts. So if I ever am, like, say, like a jam session or wherever, and the amp I've got is a little bit too bright, I can roll the volume, the tone down on all pickups, you know, without having to mess around with two different dials. I just get to mess around with one, which is just a lot nicer for me. It's one of those things that kind of bugs me about the Les Paul as well. I mean, I'm thinking of getting rewiring my Revelation Les Paul. So it's just a master volume and a master tone on that as well, and basically getting rid of the other two. Much in the same way as I got my friend Richard to rewire my vintage V100, which is hung up there, because that's just a master volume and master tone. There's no two volumes, two tones on that thing. It's just simple. So yeah, so recently found out how to do that. Love it to bits. It's such a cool thing on a Stratocaster to do. Have a master volume and a master tone. Like I said, I'm not a big tone user, but I like to have it there just in case. Invariably, though, most of the time my tones are on all the way up. I don't really touch them a great deal unless I really need to, which is very rare. Unless I'm doing a Rory Gallagher thing or after a specific kind of sound. But yeah, I have thought about doing that. I've also thought about, you know, like I say, I've delved into guitars before and different kind of wiring. I've had like guitars with just a volume and a single pickup, stuff like that. Like I say, my vintage V100 that's hung up there is just has totally changed now. My friend Richard wired it with a master volume, master tone, and a coil tap. Or is it a coil split? I don't know the difference. Either way, it turns it into a single coil guitar, and that goes over everything. So that's a very kind of like strange wiring on that guitar, but I love it even more. And it's also got a 1 meg pot in that Les Paul as well, which makes it even better. The 500k was okay, but when Richard put the 1 meg pot in that guitar, it just kind of like came alive even more. So yeah, Other than that, I have tried different guitars with different wirings. My friend Richard's like a dab hand with this kind of thing, and he's got loads of guitars with like, you know, TBX things and all sorts of other kind of awesome kind of wiring. But I'm a very simple-minded individual when it comes down to guitar, and I like things kind of like very simple and straightforward. So like I like three-way selectors, I like a volume and a tone, and that's about it for me. I don't really like to kind of have like multiple switches or multiple things that kind of like crossbreed pickups and you can blend this pickup with that. I don't really get on with that kind of thing. I like it very simple, straight down the line, master volume, master tone, three-way selector, happy days. But yeah, I have messed around with it. Like I said, I've done 2 guitars now with the master volume, master tone wiring, two of my Strats, and I probably will do it to my White Strat and Oswald's as well at some point, just because it's just such a cool thing. It just makes the guitar so much more versatile, and you've only got like, you know, I just like it, and I think it sounds better as well. I don't know. The guitar seems a bit more open. I don't know. That could just be me being neurotic, as us guitarists tend to be. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I have thought about different wirings and Strats. I've tried a lot of different Strats with different wiring. But that's the one that really works and appeals to me. Is like I say, just is rewiring it so it's a single volume, a single tone, no ifs, no buts. Middle tone doesn't do anything, so to say. So yeah, I have thought about it a few times, and like I say, I've started to do that as well. And if I do it to one of my other guitars, I might do a video on showing how to do it, because it's very, very, very easy mod to do. It's basically like 2 wires and moving a capacitor. And that's about it. You just need a link wire from the tone to the top of the volume pot, and then you just need to move the capacitor if it's not, you know, whichever tone pot it's on. But anyway, I might do a video on that at some point if I get round to feeling like I want to do it on another guitar. 'Cause I always find soldering nerve-wracking. I don't really enjoy doing it. I always get like dead. I do enjoy doing it, but I'm terrified about doing it, if that makes any sense. But yes, there we go, people do. So yeah, I hope it's answered the question. Yeah, I have thought about different wirings, but like I say, it doesn't go as far as kind of like going massive experimental. I like simple. Like I say, creature of habit. If things are simple and straightforward, I just prefer it. I just prefer that thing. I really do. It feels better to me. Okay, so yeah, so I have a question. Moving on to question 2 now. Question 2 is: I recently bought a Marshall Jackhammer as a clean boost. Could I stack another jackhammer on top of it to use as a higher gain sound? Indeed you can. I did have 2 jackhammers, but I gave one away to my friend Dan. But I did try that. I remember trying the jackhammer with another jackhammer, and they work really well. It's like having a Governor 2 Plus and another Governor 2 Plus, Marshall Governor 2. They work really well together, and they stack really nicely, because they're so similar. They just work. You don't have to worry about, oh, will this work, won't this work? They just work. So yeah, you could easily do that. If you set like one jackhammer up to be kind of like clean, and then ran another jackhammer before or after it, depending on what worked for you. Yeah, there's no reason to make me think that, like, you know, it wouldn't work for a higher gain sound. I mean, the jackhammer is just a ridiculously versatile pedal anyway. And it comes down to the contour and the frequency dials on the far right side of that pedal that makes that pedal really special, because the treble and bass, I don't use them. They're always on 0. On my jackhammer, the treble and bass dials, I don't touch them at all. I only mess with the frequency and the contour dial, and obviously, you know, the gain and the volume, and it's always set to the overdrive mode. But the distortion mode is absolutely awesome as well. But and somebody told me you can actually wedge it and get both if you wedge the kind of like the left dial in the middle, kind of, let's say. But I haven't tried that yet, but yeah. But yeah, so yeah, you could easily do that. There's no ifs, no buts there. Definitely, you could easily do that. I don't know where it would work best. I'd be inclined to put it on the output. Yeah, I'd be inclined to put it on the output side of the clean jackhammer. So basically, if your jackhammer's here, I'd be inclined to put it here, not there. But I would experiment, you know, to see where it works best, and just, you know, sounds better. Because personally, I prefer to go out the output. It is output, right? Yeah, go out the output of a clean pedal that's an always on pedal into a distortion. But yeah, that's just the way I've done it. But yeah, you can easily stack those two pedals together and it'll work nicely. So yeah, and like I say, because they're so similar, it'll just work. So hope that's the question. Moving on to question 3 now. We are motoring today. Let's change it up a gear. Or change it down. I don't know. Which way should we go? Okay. Question 3 is, how did you install wheels on your orange cab? And does it affect the cab in a negative way? No. It doesn't affect the cab in a negative way at all. In all fairness, I think having wheels on cabs affects them in a positive way. Because when you're moving them around, they're no longer sat on the floor. I reckon you get a better sound out of a cab with wheels than you do with it flat on the floor. I reckon when cabs are on the floor, and especially if it's like a wooden floor, if you play on like a stage or you're playing on a real kind of like hollow floor and your cab's sat on that floor, you tend to get an increase in low end, like a woo kind of frequency. It's like woo. You know, it's really not particularly nice, and it can sound muddy and dark and a bit clumsy, if you will, and clunky. Not in the mid-range, just in the low end. It sounds really meh. Whereas I think having it on wheels and getting it up off the ground, so you got like a, you got a space, like you can see here, you got a space like that between the floor and the bottom of the cab, makes the cab respond better. It makes it brighter sounding, it's clearer. So I think, if anything, cabs are better mounted on wheels. I don't like the sound of cabs that aren't on wheels, really. I definitely prefer it when they're slightly elevated. I just think they sound better and clearer. I've recently been experimenting with something live, which I've never done before, and I've just been experimenting with it, and it's been kind of working quite well, actually. I've been recently, because I gig with my Bosch. I didn't know Bosch made amps, but hey, I've been recently. I can obviously gig now with just my Boss katanas. I've been recently just putting them on the floor and putting the little leg out so it angles slightly. And instead of using a stand, because some gigs we've been playing recently, I haven't had chance to be, and I haven't had room to get an amp stand on stage or a chair on stage. So it's just been a case of you have to have it on the floor, no ifs, no buts, that's what you got to do. And invariably, I don't like doing that, because I find in the past, when you put amps on the floor, the sound hits you in the ankles and you can't really hear it very well. But recently, having the Boss Katana with its little leg out and having it at a certain angle to me has worked really well. I still prefer it elevated and on an amp stand or a chair, but like I say, most of the gigs we've done recently, I haven't had a chance to do that. It's like, it's a get on and get off, and you've got limited space on the stage. So it's like, I haven't had the chance to do that. So, I've been doing the on the floor trick recently, and I don't really like it, but I do like it, if that makes any sense. I prefer it if, like, the amp's elevated, but it's been working out really well, actually, recently, and I'm quite surprised by that, and I think it's to do with that little leg on the bottom of the katana more than anything, because when in the past, when I was gigging, like, with combos in the past, where I used to have a high watt combo, and also stuff like my Master Reverb that's over there, which is poorly and needs to go to the doctors, and also some of the other combos I've gigged with, when they were on the floor, they're always like, always sounded like that, because basically as you're stood up, the sound is just hitting your ankles. You're not hearing you're not hearing a true representation of what the amp sounds like. Because the amp's just kind of like that, your legs are there, so it's just going bashing you into the legs. You're not hearing it with your ears, you're basically hearing it with your legs. So it's just low-endy, and there's no high to it. And if you're not careful, you just go back to your amp and you start turning up the treble and the mids to get it brighter, and it just becomes harsh, because you're not getting a true representation of what the actual amp sounds like. Because I always crouch down next to the amp on the floor. I will lay down on the floor and play to hear the amp if I need to. But with the Boss Katana, with that little foot, which is only about like an inch long, if that, when you put that out, it does put the amp just a little bit higher. Just only a smidgen. I mean, it's literally like, from that, it's only about that. But for some reason, that makes all the difference. And I've never had a combo where I can put it on the floor and be happy with the sound. And it's just another plus point to the Boss Katana. It really is. But I've digressed. I've tangented here, but seriously, but no. Recently, I've tried that, and I've been really quite enjoying it as well. And it's a lot easier to just turn up at like a gig, especially if you've got like only half an hour slot and you've got limited time to set up. It's a lot easier just to bang it on the floor, put the little leg out, and then away you go. You know, instead of having to have an amp stand on or a chair on stage or something like that. You know, you just put it on the floor, put a little leg out, and away you go. So I digress, but yeah, I do think that cabs on wheels sound better, sound clearer. You can hear them better. It just gets rid of that frequency when they're on like a hollow floor or a hard floor. I reckon they just work better with wheels. And you also said, yeah, how did I install the wheels on my orange cab? Very simply, really. I mean, these wheels I stole off one of my Marshall cabs, which I no longer own. The bracket and the wheel, what it is, it's kind of like, bear with me. Okay, so here you go. This is the bottom of my orange cab. So I've took one of the wheels out to show you what I did. So I'll say these are off an old Marshall cab that I had ages ago. It's long since gone because I just replaced it with feet because I wanted the brackets on this cab because I've gigged this cab a lot. So anyway, what it is it, as you can see, it's like this circular bracket, and in the middle there's like this threaded bit where that part of the wheel just screws in. Like that, and it was very easy to kind of like mount it to an orange cab because on orange cabs you have this kind of like wooden strip on both sides, so it's very easy to kind of like, you know, to get them screwed in. But the only thing you do have to do with these Marshall brackets is route a hole about, say, so big. It's about the size of this middle section here, like it's about the size of that. You do have to kind of like get a drill bit and just kind of like drill out this bit because there's like a bit that sticks out that goes into there. But so then, and then it's just a case of us just like screwing it in and then just kind of like screwing the wheel back in. So it's very easy to mount wheels to cabs. Yeah, it really is. And like I say, I do think it sounds better just getting them off the floor like that. But yeah, so I've got me 4 wheels there. So it just takes a bit of time to get them screwed back in. But yeah, it's very easy to do it. And in all fairness, like I say, I mean, it's not a great hardship to do it, especially on, like I say, especially on an orange cab. Marshall cabs are a little bit harder if they don't have these brackets because there's nothing there. Whereas on the orange cabs, they always have these bits of wood on the bottom, and these are just like a godsend when it comes down to mounting things too, because it's just so easy. It's just there already. So yeah, easy peasy. And if you're wondering where this Tolex went on the bottom, that's what I used to recover my CR120 over the control panel, where I'd written on the amp in permanent marker all my settings. I wanted to cover it all over, so I took a bit of Tolex off my orange cab. This is a compact cab, by the way, everybody. This isn't full size. And I took this bit of Tolex off to recover it. So, and I thought, it doesn't matter. It's on the bottom side. You'll never see it again. So yeah. So that's what's going on there. That hasn't kind of like lost that in gigging or anything. But yeah. So yeah, easy to do. Very simple. Yeah, very easy. So yeah, and like I said, I reckon cabs do sound immensely better when they're on wheels or elevated. I just really do. When I used to gig with a Marshall double stack, I would always find that the top cab sounded better than the bottom cab. To the point where some gigs I would actually disconnect the bottom cab. I used to gig with 2 double stacks for a long time. I used to gig with 2 double stacks, and then it was 1 double stack, then it was a half stack, and now I've gone to a Boss Katana. So it's kind of like the size of my amp rig has just kind of like shrunk drastically. But it still sounds. I still enjoy the sound of it. There's nothing quite like standing in front of 2 Marshall 412s raging, but sadly you can't get away with that anymore. Sadly, it's an annoyance. It's an annoyance because the sound those things make are unreal. But anyway, but yeah, wheels are easy to mount onto orange cabs because you've got that wooden board, and it's just easy, and it just sounds better. Excuse me, everybody. So I hope that's a question. A bit of a long-winded way of answering, I'm sure, but hopefully there's something in there. Okay, so question 4 today. Question 4, everybody, is: have you ever tried 10.5 to 48 strings? And if you have, did you adjust the truss rod in standard tuning? I've only tried them on other people's guitar. My friend Ian uses them, and they do feel nice, but I just stick with 10s. Like I say, I am an absolute creature of habit. When I find something that works, it takes a lot for me to get something else. You know what I mean? Like, it really has to do something else that for me to change. And 10.5s are okay, but like I said, I just prefer 10s at the end of the day. I just use 10s or 9s. Like I say, 9s on Les Pauls, 10s on the Strats. But yeah, I mean, I have tried them, but like I say, it's not for me. And also, I've tried 11s and 12s. I've tried some gauge 14s on an acoustic. They were horrific. Like, they came off in a day. But I've tried 8s as well. 8s were too light. I really love 9s. I really love the feel of 9s, and I really love the feel of 10s. And through just experimenting throughout the years, but 10 to 46s and 9 to 42s are just the strings that just work for me. So I've never felt the need to experiment, if you know what I mean. It's just Diodario 9s or Diodario 10s. I'm happy days. So I have tried them. I don't know about just in a truss rod, because like I say, it wasn't my guitar, but I'm pretty sure if you're using 10s and you go 10.5 to 48, I don't think you'd have to adjust the truss rod, but you might. I don't know. It depends on what you want, really. It depends if you like relief in the neck or you like the neck flat, really, because I like quite a lot of relief in the neck. I like it to curve quite substantial. I don't like necks when they're perfectly straight like that. It just doesn't work for me. And I say, I mean, I don't think you should be tweaking the truss rod a great deal anyway. Like, once the truss rod's set, I don't really touch mine again. Once I've got it where I've got it, I don't use it. The only time I'll ever use it is if it does go a bit askew. But that, it doesn't happen a great deal. You know what I mean? I don't feel the need to be messing with a truss rod a great deal if you don't need to. If it feels great, I'm not going to touch the truss rod. So yeah, I mean, you might have to mess with the truss rod, but I wouldn't think so. But I don't know. Like I say, I've never tried 10.5 to 48s on one of my guitars, so I wouldn't know personally if that's if you do need to do that or not. But I wouldn't think you would really, but I really don't know. I do apologise, but yeah, I have tried them. But like I say, being a creature of habit, once I find something that works for me, like 10s or 9s, I don't change. I really don't change. I'm quite happy with what I've got, so I don't feel the need to experiment. So to say, it's like I'm a bit of what's the word I'm looking for? I'm very content once I find something that works. I tend to stick to it like glue. I don't really mess around with things. So I have tried them, but like I say, I'll stick to 10s. And adjusting the truss rod, maybe not. I don't actually know. I really don't know. Sorry, it's not really an answer, so I do apologise immensely for that. So I'm going to move on to question 5 now. Question 5 is today. Question 5. What are your feelings on overwound pickups in Strats, and are you using any? No. You said you probably think I've got quite low output pickups in my guitars. I have. Yeah, I like low output pickups. I like low output humbuckers and single coils and P90s. I don't like hot pickups, but I do like them sometimes. Sometimes they can be really, really cool in certain guitars. But invariably, I like really low-powered, clean pickups that, I can just kind of run pedals through and use pedals to get the sound instead of, necessarily having the pickup doing all the work, so to say. I like kind of half and half. And like I say, I always have my pickups wound super low anyway. To show you on this quickly. This is my Ibanez made Strat, and you can kind of see that net pickup is almost, flat to that scratch plate. It's really low. I always have a bridge pickup a little higher. They kind of stagger. So like that's the highest, that's the middle, and that's the lowest. And that's just the way I have these guitars set. And I've got this guitar in C standard. So it's really drop tuned, and it's just got 10s. And I really like that tuning. C standard is a really nice tuning. I really like it. I mean, it makes the strings like spaghetti, but I really do like it. And the intro jam today, everybody, was recorded. The rhythm track, backing track, was recorded on this guitar, and then I soloed over it with the Harley Benton. Just to kind of like have a different sound, if you know what I mean. So the rhythm track was the big low-endy Ibanez made Strat, and then I used a Harley Benton over top of that. Anyway, I digress again. Tangent Boy is here, and he is tangenting. In a way. I don't know. Where was I? I've totally forgot. Pickups, yeah. I'm not a big high output pickup fan. I do like them on some guitars. I reckon they're good fun sometimes, but I don't like the lack of clarity that some have. Having tried quite a lot of really high output pickups in the past, like I've never liked certain tonal things about them. I always like pickups to be really low powered pickups like that are very, very clean. Very clean kind of pickup sounding. I always have them wound down really far. I don't have any guitar really where I have a pickups really high. I just don't like the sound. I really don't like the sound of it. I like the weaker pickups more myself. Have I got any guitars with maybe high powered pickups? I don't think I do. I think probably the highest output pickup guitar I own will probably be my Epiphone Les Paul. They're really pokey. I can't think of any others. Mentally going through my guitar collection. I used to have a Kramer a long time ago. I kind of wish I still had it now, actually, to be honest with you. It was an old 1980s Kramer shred machine. It was an absolute beast. And that was ridiculous. It was a 2 single coils and a humbucker with a Floyd Rose, maple neck, pointy eye jabber headstock. And the body was a little bit smaller than a normal Strat, but it was a Strat-shaped shred machine. And that guitar was ridiculously high output. I don't know if I even got a picture of that guitar anymore. I gave it away eventually. We didn't get on. I kind of still wish I had it, but we didn't get on. It was one of those guitars where this isn't happening. But that was ridiculously high output. There was no clean tone on that. Even in the single coils, there was no clean tone. It was just this massive high gain shred machine from the 80s. And we didn't get on very well in sound or playing, really. It was just kind of one of those things that just didn't work out. But I kind of still wish I had that guitar. But such is life. I'm not gonna weep over that guitar. There are other guitars that I wish I still had that I will weep over. But anyway, overwound pickups, can be fun sometimes, and I like them for certain sounds. But invariably, I like the low output, really clean sounding pickups, including humbuckers and P90s. I don't like really hot humbuckers or really hot P90s or single coils for that matter. It just don't really appeal to me. I like the vintage kind of spec. I mean, I don't really know what kind of like range my ideal pickup would be in, but it'd be very low. Probably be in the the high 5s or the low 6s. When you're getting into the 7s and 8s, that's not for me. I like the low 60s and the high 5s or the mid 5s. You know what I mean? I like really low output. Anyway, But yeah, like I said, the only guitar I've got with probably high output humbuckers pickups now is probably the humbuckers in my Epiphone Les Paul. And I said I don't really play that guitar a great deal. It's kind of like, it's my third ever guitar, so I'd never get rid of it. But it's one of those guitars that kind of sits out the way, so to say. Anyway, I hope that's this question. People with a tube, do you prefer what kind of pickups do you prefer? Do you prefer hot overwound pickups, or do you prefer low output pickups? Let me know in the comment section below. I put that question to you. Okay, so final question of the day, question 6. Okay, so question 6 is, have you ever tried the Boss FZ3 fuzz pedal? And what do you think? No, sadly I haven't tried this pedal, but this is one of those pedals I want. You know what I mean? I've never tried it though. I've never tried any Boss fuzz pedals. And I never really felt the need, because the DS2 does such a good job. But just out of curiosity, I'd like to try one at some point. To own, I don't know. I'd have to judge that on how it feels to play. But the FZ3, I would like to try it at some point. I'd like to try a Boss fuzz pedal. I love Boss pedals. Boss pedals are A's. The best one in the world being the DS2. To me, anyway. I love the DS2. It's my favourite Boss pedal. I do have a Boss acoustic simulator pedal as well, and I might have to do a demo of that at some point. It's the weirdest pedal. Matt Bellamy used to use one live in the early days of Muse for the song Muscle Museum. He used it for an electric guitar, and it sounds really strange, and it's just really, really cool. It's really, really cool pedal. I think Stone Gossard uses one as well when he plays electric acoustic, like in Nothing As It Seems and Daughter and stuff like that. If you see Stone Gossard playing an electric guitar with an acoustic sound, I'm pretty sure he's using I don't know if this is true, but I did hear he uses the Boss acoustic simulator, and it really does turn your electric into acoustic. But it only really works when you're running it through a PA. If you're running guitar into the acoustic simulator into the amp, it doesn't really work so much. But anyway, so yeah, at some point I'd like to try the Boss FZ3, but I haven't had a chance to kind of get around to it yet. And I say there's none around here, and I say I need a delay pedal more than I need that pedal right now, so I need to get a new delay pedal for my other pedal board. But yeah, so yeah, there we go. Good gravy. That was quick. I thought I felt really quick today. I don't know. Anyway, if you'd like to submit a question for Q&A, everybody, go to the description box below and go to my website, goodgravy.co.uk. I can't speak. Ukraine. I don't know. Is that something to do with craze? Maybe. Okay, so yeah, go to my website in the description box below, goodgravy.co.uk, and go to the forum section. And on the forum section of my website, there's an Ask Dave section. And if you want to submit a question for Q&A, register yourself there, put a question in, and also join in on the other forums as well. I go on there when I get a chance to go on there and reply to people. But if you want to submit a question to Q&A, please go there, and I'll go through the list basically and answer them each week. I'm not really going to take any. These questions were from my email, apart from question 6. But after today, I'll only be doing the odd question the only odd question from my email. I won't be doing the email one as much as the forum one. The forum one is kind of where it's at now, so to say. So, like I say, if you want to submit a question, go to the forum section of my website, description box below. You can follow that link and submit a question there, and I'll get to it in one of these Q&As. I say on my website there's links to my Bandcamp where you can find some of my original music as well, and all sorts of things, my Instagram, Facebook, and this, that, and the other. So yeah, is there anything else I need to talk about? No, I don't think there is. And also there's a merch site on there as well where you can buy t-shirts and stickers and all sorts. There's some new designs on there as well, different colours, white, grey, black t-shirts, and whatnot. So yeah, I'm terrible at self-promotion, everybody. I'm useless at self-promotion. I'm no good at it. So I do apologise. Because people say all the time, like, have you got any original material? And I'm just I'm that useless at self-promotion. I never say that I've got a Bandcamp with my music on it and stuff like that. I'm literally awful at self-promotion. So I do apologise for anybody who's asked that in the past. And like I've gone, oh yeah, by the way, I do actually. Yeah, sorry. I'm like, he's a clever boy, is our Dave. Anyway, yes, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I will see you again very soon. I hope I've answered your questions okay. As usual, I have the fear that I've totally ruined this Q&A and it's all gone wrong and it's rubbish. But hopefully there's something in there, and I hope I've answered your questions okay. And I'll see you again on Friday for another vid. Not sure what Friday's vid is going to be. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this vid, and I'll see you again. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Goodbye now.